Ah, well.
Hello, Carter. How you doing?
Evening all. Appreciate early arrivals.
Good evening, all.
Had one last night with a different group of scouters. And at opening time, there was two of us. Took to about 10 minutes after to get at least half of them. I guess they were doing other things or forgot the time or something.
They might not be ex-military.
That's right. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, forget it. We left without you.
Absolutely.
I plan on being early to my own funeral, maybe 20 minutes, so I can welcome people, thank them to coming. And, that way, if I don't show at all, they will say that that is the late Carter Wood. So.
Oh.
Oh, well.
That one is really bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
My specialty. This here. Never have any idea of the turnout. 253 invitations. Of course, I know some international people for different reasons, but we'll do well.
I know Hank, lose my voice. I know Hank's planning to join us too, Bob. Yeah. Sheesh.
Two more. Here they come. George, what's your background there?
That's my backyard down here at the Keys.
Oh,
all right. Okay,
Everybody's got to be someplace, so I guess.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Let me see, I could be in 78-degree weather. I could be in 8-degree weather. I think I picked the right choice.
Yeah. Two more coming. 5 minutes. Who is Venture Crew 851? You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, Jeff Burke.
Okay, welcome.
I'm with-
Glad to have you.
I'll change my name.
No, that's left over from the last Zoom you were on, probably, right?
Yeah, just a couple hours ago. There we go.
More signing in. Hank, good to see you, sir.
Good seeing you, Carter. Bob, I haven't seen you since yesterday.
That's right. It was, thanks for somebody correcting me on tonight. It's been kind of a crazy week, so, you know.
Evening, gentlemen. I don't know if you can see me yet.
We hear you, sir. 585-729-9657.
Okay. Video. Well, somebody could have given me a heads up that it was a uniformed event.
Wow.
Well, at least it's not black tie.
That's right.
Yeah.
My lodge
Sure.
had a black tie event Saturday.
Yeah. You get
I'm going to get my phone in case people need a last minute replacement for the invitation. Be right with you.
oh, I have an idea. We'll take the tape off the camera. I bet you'll be able to see me
That
a lot
helps.
better. Yeah.
Hello, this Carter Wood.
This one travels with me to work,
Signing into
so
Squaretable.
you never know what you're going to get into.
All right, I'll send it to you right now. Hang on. All right, be with you in just a little bit. Regular segment I always use. Right.
Okay,
you can-
Bob, I've got a
Yes.
question for you.
Yeah, it was,
How does a place
25.
like Ocala, Florida, which is where you're living now, right?
Right.
How does it come up with people who are speed skaters, Olympic ice speed skaters?
Well, they were racing speed skaters, you know, on the track, which abounds, I guess, around here. A lot of kids do that, and somehow they converted over to ice. It's kind of amazing, really. You wouldn't think Florida would have people winning Winter Olympics for ice skating, or yeah, you know, it's one of those kind of strange things. The only ice rink we ever have around here is, that I know of anyway, is occasionally the city will put up one on one of the festivals where they lay down those, I think they're polyethylene skating blocks that you can actually skate on.
Yep.
But that's of course very temporary for a night or two. So it you know, it makes the local paper, and we're going to have a big celebration for the couple of young people that won medals. It's really amazing. You
I mean,
know?
if it were horse racing, I could understand it.
Yes, yeah, we have some really Olympic horse
Yeah.
people all over the place down here, but you know, it's like when I was up in New York and I lived in Yonkers, we had a couple fellows that would come to the roundtables from the canoe club, and I didn't realize two of those guys had won medals in, like, I don't know, 1936 or something. at the Summer Olympics, and they were canoeing mermaid counselors, but they were so modest, nobody knew that.
I have a major general in my cadre of rifle instructors, and he's the most humble guy you'd ever want to meet. And one night just before the calling out ceremony, he came up and shook my hand, and he gave me his Major General 2-star challenge coin.
There you go.
And I've had to pony up some popcorn at camp. I said, okay, Mike. And just for giggles and grins one day, I said, Mike, how many people are in your command? And he didn't miss a tick. He said, 15,000. And I said, wow. He said, but here's the deal. I had 5 1-star generals and 6 full bird colonels who answered to me. He said, the rest of the guys took care, everybody else. So that span of control, 5 to 7, when you're a major general in the Army, it still happens.
And what were you, Don?
I was never in the military, but I was up until a couple weeks ago, I was the shooting sports training guy for Bay Lakes Council. I'm a training counselor, and I've been to World Jamboree and National Jamboree, one each. And I just got an invitation the other day in the mail to go to 23 National Jamboree.
Yep.
And I recently had a stroke, so proof positive of brain damage. I actually thought I was going to go for a little while. And I contacted Jim Shekels and a couple other people that were my supervisors. And they said, oh yeah, come on up. And I thought, well, I just said I proved I had brain damage, so maybe I don't know.
Well, that's good. I'm just a mere instructor, but I've been doing it here in this council. Well, I'm a retired colonel, and I never thought about the NRA and teaching shooting sports until somebody said to me, you ought to know something about this stuff. So about 8 or 9 years ago, I got involved, just like you are.
Yeah, I started in 2008 as a rifle and then shotgun instructor and just hung with it. But the state rep was my first instructor, and he was a senior training counselor. And over the years, he invited me to a meeting with the Friends of NRA. I went into this meeting not having a clue what that was, but I walked out of this meeting as the co-chair. And about 10 years later, I got a Lifetime Achievement Award from what I did with the Scouts and with the NRA. And it's like this good story. I go up on the stage and I'm gobsmacked that, the guy thought enough of me to give me this Lifetime Achievement Award. And it happened to be Lauer Custom Weaponry, AR-15 in Cerakote. And they had to grind the Cerakote off to engrave my name on it. So I go up and I reached over to shake a guy's hand because, this is the elites. What the hell am I doing up here? So I turned around to get the next guy and fell off the stage in back of me, dropped down 3 feet. First words out of my mouth after the coconut hit the concrete was, is the gun okay? Now, man, you're a gunny when you give a damn more about your gun than the freaking melon you just cracked on the concrete. And they've got pictures of me waving to the crowd, like the guys going off the football field in the cart. And Scott says to me the next morning, he says, Don, I've been doing this a long time. I've had a couple of women knock me off my feet, but I said, I never saw a guy get knocked off his feet by a gun. So it was a long, fun trip. But as a colonel, you would know about getting passed over. Well, maybe you probably don't, but I got passed over twice to be the shooting sports director for people who had nowhere near the qualifications I had. So I said, well, I'm done doing this for free. If you want to pay me the going rate, that's a different story. Every single instructor in Bay Lakes Council has personally been trained by me and my crew. So good luck to them.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Carter's probably ready to get back into this,
Oh, Well, yeah, that's a part of it.
I sent some replacement invitations, and I see some of those people are with us, but not all of them. We'll catch up as best we can. Let's please get started. Do you see our opening slide, program membership, unit service, funds development?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right. In that case, the next one will go to Bob, and before any great or important undertaking, sir, would you lead us in
Brethren,
opening
please.
prayer?
Brethren, please join me in prayer. Grand Architect of the universe, we ask your prayers for those in the Ukraine, on both sides, but especially the scouts and the scouters in the Ukraine, because they too must be suffering. We ask prayers for all those who are suffering around the world and need your help. Be with those who be with and watch over our military and our first responders as they go about protecting and helping us out and rescuing us when we get into trouble. And finally, help us to keep our oaths, both as Masons and as Scouters. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. George, would you lead us in pledge allegiance?
I will. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to
To
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it
for
stands,
which it stands,
Public, for which-
one nation
One
under
nation,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
and
for all.
for all.
For all.
Thank you. It's not a legal opinion, but we'll ask Hank for the oath and law. It said
All
law,
right.
so we go to the lawyer.
Okay. Gentlemen, scout sign, please. Scout oath on my honor.
Honor,
I will do my best.
My best
To
to do my
my
duty
to God and
God
my
and my
country.
country.
To obey
and to obey the
scout
scout
law.
laws
To help other
Help other
people at
people at
all
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 times.
time,
To keep
and to
myself.
keep myself physically
strong,
strong,
Mentally
mentally
awake,
awake, and morally straight.
The scout law,
Yeah.
a scout is
Trustworthy.
Trustworthy,
loyal,
loyal, helpful,
helpful,
friendly,
friendly,
fearless,
fearless,
cheerful,
fearful, thrifty, brave,
brave,
reverent.
And Reverend.
Two,
Thank you. And in keeping with Scout theme, Brother Jim Forrester, would you bring us safety message?
Good evening, brothers. With spring coming, I'd like to point out the fact that one of the most beautiful points about scouting is the campfire. But safety needs to be foremost around a campfire. So a few points that we need to remember and share with the scouts as we work with them. Smart behaviors are the first thing. Fires are useful, but they can be dangerous. Stay outside the campfire ring. Don't run, jump, or play around campfires. They're too important for that. Once it's in, it stays in. Don't pull anything out of a campfire. You should maintain safe campfires and campsites. Always consider the campfire surroundings. Ensure it's appropriate distance between the seating area and tents, especially. And then if you're cooking or roasting over a campfire, never swing, flick, or throw hot or burning food. If your food burns or catches fire, remain calm, get something else. And finally, be careful with sharp skewers and keep the tip pointed in a safe direction. There are a lot of resources online to back up these points, but spring coming up, enjoy your campfires, but enjoy them safely.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Jim. Is our president with us? I'm watching who sign in. Alan, are you with us, sir? Let's go ahead and review the topics for the evening. And it changed as of just a half hour ago. So who knows what else will happen. We're going to cover the bankruptcy. We have 2 reports about state organizations, and then we'll go through the whole list of what's happening in Scouts and where we as Masonic Scouters can hopefully make a difference, can help the situation. The situation in the bankruptcy is honestly very, very good. You know that the votes came in and the newspapers reported 73.6. Well, that's terribly short of the 75%. In fact, 75% was never a marker anyway. It's the historical statement from the asbestos bankruptcy of several years ago.
Yeah.
The one that's currently in channeling injunction, where we hope to be in another few months. In fact, Delaware state law is 66 2/3%. So we're way past that already and growing as we go. 2 more for the sign in. Oh, got him. Good, glad to have him. Since the vote was tallied up, though, there's good news from the United Methodist Church. They had several serious concerns with the resolution, with the revisions to the resolution, but it all got figured out. I have a copy of the letter from the National Conference of United Methodist Church, co-signed by the Chief Executive Officer of BSA, Mr. Mosby. And they say together, let's get chartered. On top of that, they're requesting, whichever you want to call it, their conferences and their individual churches to change their vote. If they had voted no, they are very seriously, very sincerely requested to change it to yes. When that happens, well, the 73.6 is bound to go up. Any no that becomes a yes. On top of that, and not the same number of votes, but just as important, the very first set of lawyers against us in the bankruptcy hearing was a tort claims committee. These are the group of lawyers that already held upwards of 2,000 claims that were ready to go to trial. And they've been on an injunction ever since then. They have also come on board with the result that we're going to be, I don't know a number, anyone can guess, we'll certainly be past 75%, more people signing in, at least past 75%, who knows how good it could be. With that though, the judge, Lori Silverstein, bless her heart, she understands these things, and even she admits this is the largest bankruptcy she's ever been involved with. She extended the confirmation hearing from the 22nd of February to the 7th of March. And mostly it's to allow tort claims claimants, tort claims committee claimants, and Methodist churches to have time to change their vote. The confirmation hearing is expected to take a matter of days, maybe weeks. That's how complicated it is, and that's how they have to work through at least 83 objections that still remain from other insurance companies, small players, but still everyone has a right to be heard in the bankruptcy court. When it is confirmed, and with certainly 75% of the claimants agreeing, and every one of the lawyers groups agreeing, there's hardly left to be worried with, except that some of these insurance companies and the Roman Catholic Church are still holding out for other concessions. The negotiations continue. But we honestly do expect, all probability is that we will have a confirmation within a few weeks after 7 March, maybe even within the month of March. By procedure, it's not an appeal, but every bankruptcy confirmation goes to an affirmation process. It goes from a bankruptcy court to the federal district court, which looks over things one more time. And is there any loose end or any question to be handled? That will not take place for at least 30 days, let's say roughly 30 days after confirmation. And as such, as long as it takes and another 30 days thereafter, we're looking at probably resolution in June. And that's when 250 councils will put in their money, National will put in their money. LDS Church, 250 million, UMC Church, 30 million, et cetera, et cetera. It's getting close to, could border on $3 billion into their Victims Trust Fund. But when it's done, and we will get there, when it's done, June, July or so, there'll be a channeling injunction. This is an order from the bankruptcy court affirmed by the district court that any future claim, and one would be too many. I think you'd all agree with that. One would be too many, but it doesn't go to scouts. It doesn't go to insurance company. It goes straight to the Victims Trust Fund, that $3 billion pool that the mediators are going to handle over the next who knows how many years. The good news is the program continues. We will be out from under this cloud. We'll be able to dedicate more of our time and attention and energy and enthusiasm to scouting like we'd like to do, as opposed to all the troubles that we've been put through. As an example, here is the cover page. There's the top page of this UMC and BSA memorandum, this letter, open letter, whatever you want to call it. And I like the headline, please recharter now. We have hundreds, probably thousands of UMC chartered units that are on someplace between here and there and stuck in the middle. And it takes a while for the good news to permeate a hierarchy like the United Methodist Church. The good news is they are hierarchical and directive. If the National Council says so, then the individual conferences are supposed to toe the line. And they have fairly well. Last time there was a directive one way or another. Every one of the UMC conferences stood up and saluted, et cetera, except for 4. And those 4 we're working on. Some of the 4 are close, if not already within the fold. If you really want to see it, there, screenshot that right there and you'll get the exact letter. Screenshot that and save it. I'll put it in the Facebook tomorrow, but that's where we are. It is all a go. UMC is now our most common, most dominant chartered organization. And as they go, scouting will go. If they don't go, well, we would have been in a real hurt. I say again that Catholic Church, we're still working with them. We have until Confirmation Day, 7th of March, and so shortly thereafter, for them to likewise come along. What's interesting is some of the lawyer team that had been with the Methodist Church, as soon as they finished their work there, they got signed on by the Catholic Church. So let's wait and see what happens. Speaking of what's happening out there in the real world of scouting, I call upon John and then Mike for updates on their state organizations. John, I saw you sign in. Where are you in the gallery view here? John was here. I saw him. Did he drop out?
I'm here. I'm here.
Let's go on to Bruce and maybe come back. Bruce and Dale. Speaking of Pennsylvania, go ahead, Bruce.
I see that John is there. He just put himself back on mute. John, you're on mute. John, you're on mute. While John is trying to come on.
Okay,
I'm here.
Okay,
Okay, sorry,
John.
sorry,
Okay.
brothers. The only news is I have no news, but I'm hoping that I will run into the Grandmaster this coming weekend in our Grand Chapter Convocation to see where we're at, to see that the judge advocate and the proctor has laid their eyes on our documents. So that's where we are at this point in time. I wish I had more news.
Well, appreciate that. At least they know you haven't given up and you're not just letting, you're we can wait for something to happen or we can make something happen. And sometimes we have to wait to make something happen. Let's go on to Pennsylvania. Mike and Dale, please. Either one of you, both.
Okay, thank you, Carter. This is Mike. That's good news to hear about the United Methodist Church because one of the troops that I'm associated with was pretty much told in definitive terms that they were not going to renew the charter. We were working with our local Knights Templar Commandery who has agreed to pick them up. So we're in a little quandary now as far as where we go with that. But the good news, that unit will have somebody to pick them up.
Well, remember the chartered organization owns the unit, owns the bank account, owns the equipment. So the commandery, they could handle that too, just as well. Okay.
Right. The funny thing is, the Methodist Church wants the unit. They're supportive of the unit. They've had the unit for over 75 years. They have said they couldn't recharter, but they are willing to sign a building use agreement for the building. We are working on organizing a Cub Pack with another chartered organization, and the church said they will sign a use for the Cub Pack. So they're obviously getting some misinformation from above. But anyway, back to us. We've just been, working as far as generating interest in NAMS. I think we've picked up a few members out of Juniata Valley Council. I personally have been working with a number of chartered organizations as far as setting up some units. That's about where we are.
Okay.
We would like to, again, propose to NAMS at the national meeting that, local council charters be authorized to operate under the auspices of NAMS. We have, but I believe I sent a copy to you and Alan a number of months ago, a set of bylaws together that were modeled after the national bylaws, and we also have a petition.
Hi, Alan.
Councils to petition NAMS for recognition.
I have that, and we've had discussions. Alan is on another Zoom. John is talking to him right now, I believe, but I can see in the view. Alan will be with us. I believe that our present structure, I've been wrong before, but I believe our present structure, you don't need our permission to start a charter, just as no one needed a permission to start a Scouters Lodge, or in South Carolina, Masonic Scouters organization. Jim, what did you call your organization? The South Carolina Scouters or something like that? Jim Forrester?
No, there's no particular organization.
Yeah. It's just
to be
okay.
a formal organization, and to be quite frank, if we come up with the Juniata Valley Council National Association of, or Juniata Valley Council Association of Masonic Scouters, we are back to where you were when you began, as far as gaining recognition from the state organization.
I see. Okay.
Since NAMS has been already recognized by the state.
Okay, I see what you mean.
To
Okay.
operate as an arm under your control, obviously under the control of the national organization. And honestly, I think our organization would require that, obviously to be a Scouter and to be a Mason, but also to be a member of NAMS.
Okay.
I believe this would be a natural outgrowth for the organization, because it would have the potential of exponentially raising your membership fees.
Okay. We have a couple. John had his hand up. Go ahead, John Ertl. You're on mute. You're on mute, sir. There you go.
Alan has just gotten hold of me for some reason or other. He appears not to have gotten it. I forwarded him the link, so he will be joining us almost immediately.
Good. All right. And Bruce, you had your hand up. Here's Ellen right now. Bruce, go ahead. Or Ellen. Ellen's in. Ellen, please bring us to the president's greetings. Ellen.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
By the
Welcome.
hardest.
We skipped over your part, the president's message. We've gone
Well,
on
let
to
me
other
just-
business.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you're just carrying on in the meantime. I apologize. I didn't get the message. And of course, when John called, John Hertel, and he said the meeting was on, I said, it can't be. And it's December, January. Oh, it's March. I forgot because we just got out of February.
Yeah,
So,
well, look at your emails, February 25, the 250 of them went up.
okay. I didn't
Anyway,
see
anyway,
it. I
okay.
apologize. But February 25th, I have to tell you, was right prior to Mardi Gras weekend. And it's been a roller coaster for me. Anybody who's followed my postings on Facebook, it didn't stop till yesterday evening. So I'm in recovery mode, as it were. So I apologize. Let me see. In terms of a report, I just basically want everybody to know that we are still working on getting the final touches on the website completed. I was hoping I'd do it by December, and I apologize again that Mardi Gras sort of got in the way. But I was talking with our web site designer, Christy, and she and I are ramping up to get that thing up shortly. So you'll get a message very soon. I hope that we can get that thing out there. I'm just basically trying to get the little bit of the content before she goes live with it. We're going to show it to everybody first before we do go live. So don't think that we're just going to unveil it and throw it out there and let people comment on after the fact. We're going to let everybody who has an opportunity on our team to look it over and make any adjustments or suggestions about what we're doing. But I think that it's going to be a vast improvement on what we've already got. Not that what we had wasn't good enough, but I think this will take us into the next decade of where we are and where we should be. In terms of working on a personal basis, I have my grand live session coming up at the end of this month, and it is a very, very busy session. I'm hoping that we can get some inroads made with our worshipful Grandmaster. Our most worshipful Grandmaster has met with me. I've actually talked with him. I've given him our challenge coin. The biggest hurdle that I have to deal with here in Louisiana is our Committee on Jurisprudence. And they have been a major thorn in my side because they always say that yes, we appreciate what you're doing, but we don't need to recognize you. You know, you just do whatever you want to do, and we'll not interfere with you. But to me, that's sort of like saying, you can date my daughter, but you can't take her out anywhere that you can be seen in public. So it's sort of a left-handed compliment, if you know what I mean. I'd like to see them be a little bit more supportive. I have got great inroads with our junior warden, who is very, very supportive of my efforts, but I don't want to wait 2 years before we make any progress. So I'm going to try to do what I can to make an appearance with the grand. The problem is, of course, as you know, grand live sessions are pretty well set in terms of resolutions and things of that sort. So it's difficult to get anything else on the agenda. What I would say I would be doing is networking. And it's an important aspect of what I do. I would actually have been at a meeting tonight for the Grand Valley of Orleans that meets on the same time slot on Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month. Unfortunately, it seems to be at the same time as our NAMS meeting. And I guess we'll have that problem from time to time, that we'll have difficulties in adjusting our schedules. But as of right now, as I said, I have not heard anything from the people in New York lately. Carter, have you
Yeah,
got any?
we just did that. I'll get you caught up later.
Okay, I
Don't
appreciate
get
hearing from you.
discouraged, Alan. It took me over 5 years.
My God. Well, congratulations then. I know it was a waiting game, you said, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, basically, that puts us, and Carter, you can, I don't want to bore everybody by going over everything again, the same as you did, but if you want to fill me in after the, fine. But
Bruce had his hand up and he's New York too. Bruce Katz.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Bruce.
I didn't get off mute fast enough last time. My apologies. Yeah, so again, with what John's covered, the overall thing about things are basically on hold for a while. But to talk to Mike's comments about the way they're trying to go things through the national organization, we took a little different approach in New York by going underneath the Grand Lodge format, similar to that there's a state level Masonic War Veterans. So by having the Masonic organization under the Grand Lodge structure is a little bit different approach, but that way it's more amenable to the Grand Lodge rather than mixed allegiances outside. That's the only comment I want to make in that.
Okay, good. All right. Moving right along then. Good news. At least there's no bad news, put it that way. Okay. Yeah. Want to bring you up to date on very subtle changes in the national strategic goals. And they're being expressed now monthly in what's called stack charts. And there's some discussion about the name because what it does is rank 250 councils from top to bottom. And you know how scouters are and how scout executives are and how scout council presidents, soon to be called scout council chairs, by the way. Sounds like a good way to igniting competition. But if it's competition towards the common goal rather than at the expense of a brother council, then so be it. We're right now, there's no chance of the 98% being improved when the ranges are 200 or out of 250 councils, 20 of them, only 20 are at 98% or greater. And those are councils that by way of their own volition or in the state of Pennsylvania where there's other legislature involved, the certification lasts 2 years, but they do every test or every good training and examination for the certificate every year. And so people have overlap on themselves rather than any gap. The lowest is 81.6%, and you don't want to know who they are because they're low on other things and they're probably going away. Remember when Churchill came, said that mergers was not the goal, but it may be the consequence of the reorganization procedure. Market share, same kind of thing. Doing very well. Almost half of the councils are at the 2% market share. That means every boy and girl from kindergarten through 18, and then every boy and girl in a different category, 18 to 21. We know the total available youth, and the market share varies from barely 0.25% to over 11%, and they know who they are and they're doing very well. Retention, on the other hand, is a little bit different. You know, membership growth is a function of recruiting and then retaining. And we all know that nothing retains better than good program and strong units and good support from districts and commissioners. Only 21 of the 250 councils, not even 10%, are at 62% retention. There are some people that can get it done and they're doing very well. The top is almost 69%. Speaking of membership, nationwide, we are coming out of the effects of COVID. What I mean is, we're still down almost 13% in total youth, but it's getting better every day. The marketing plan announced last May, Escape the Indoors, has done very, very well. Nationwide, fall recruiting was 95.6% of the projected count from way last April and May. And last April and May, we expected that schools would be open and we could get in and recruit Cubs, and middle schools would be open. We could recruit Scouts BSA. Well, that didn't happen. Some of them are still digital, and every day is different, and every day is mixed. So to make 95+% of last April's guests is really very good. In other words, we're coming out of it. On the money side, there are no reliable statistics. One calculation is sort of like the liquidity index used to be for councils. Do you have enough money to pay for all the bills that you had last year in the next 90-day time frame? You know, everything is seasonal. Summer camp is a high revenue. FOS has a season. Special events have their seasons. So going month to month doesn't work. We got to go to this year compared to the last year. Well, what was 21 like? What was 20 like? It was an aberration that was painful to everybody. The one thing that is calculable per council is Friends of Scouting goal. But there you get into the difficulties of a lot of FOS campaigns in 250 councils are annual. They officially start in January, although so a lot of people are smart enough to start early, hit the ground running in January. Others have 1st of July is their fiscal year. Some are 1st of October is their fiscal year. And so that changes their Friends of Scouting campaign scheduling as well. They're working on it. They honestly don't have a good way of measuring that. Realize that it never was in Journey to Excellence either, other than the liquidity index. And we may end up back to that. In fact, one of the calculations for financial stability is almost the same as what the liquidity index had been. About girls in scouting. Well, here's good news for almost everyone. 192 councils have the minimum of 10% female membership. In fact, they rank, whoops, that's too quick, I'm sorry. They rank from 6.8 all the way to some of them in their new recruiting, 35%. I was at a Cub Roundup where, yeah, we got 40 kids, 18 were girls. And it's still the same as before. It's it's Scout families, little sisters and big sisters coming along. So we've got a long ways to go. Another sign in here, let me get him. Robert Griffin coming. We've got a long way to go to do pure recruiting of families with young girls that don't have any previous affinity to scouting. No brothers in the program. Was in a real sweet moment. Little sister got Eagle Scout. I say little sister, I mean, she's about 5 foot nothing, but big brother was over 6 feet, and he pinned the medal on her instead of mom and dad. They chose it that way. As far as, there was a question or a reaction anyway. Somebody, we have an open mic, a dog?
Might be, I don't think you just keep going.
Okay, I saw Barry's cat. Barry, where'd your cat go?
Hopefully a long ways away.
Okay, okay. On ethnic again, the wide range. And of course, there is no goal here other than how well do you match your own local demographics? Just as we know how many kids we have in the scouting opportunity group, we know how to sort them out, how they sort out as far as ethnicity. And some places have a lot of work to do. It's still rich white boys is a derogatory nickname for scouts. Other places, anybody want to guess who is 98.18% matching their population? Puerto Rico. That's all that's there. And so that's all they recruit. And
Capital
so,
Area Council,
no, Puerto Rico Council. Yeah.
Puerto Rico. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. But we're moving right along. There's been great progress on the new Citizenship in Society merit badge. And Charles, your council did a pilot project there. You want to give an update, Charlie?
Yeah, be happy to. Our council was selected as one of the pilot programs. I think our scout executive, we hired him from National, so I think he was connected in that regard. But at any rate, we did a test course for about 8 or 10 scouts back in late November, early December, which was really a test run for us offering it at our winter camp, which was in between Christmas and New Year's. That went well. That class had, I believe, about 20 to 25 scouts in it. A couple of those scouts were actually from the troop that I work with. And I also know we had to get several counselors certified, go through a little program to make sure that they understood and would teach the class the right way. One of those gentlemen I do not know. The other one I do, because he was my district vice chair and he just took over for me about a week ago. So at any rate, I've talked to him about it. He is a college professor by trade. So he's definitely understands what it takes to put together a class to incorporate everybody, which I think is really the goal here. His comments, which were a lot of the stuff that I shared with you, Carter, was that the course went really well. He was pleased with the engagement. The program is designed such that it's very Wood Badge-esque in that it was not a let me lecture you kind of thing. It was very much a let me pose a question and step back and let y'all figure it out. So there was a lot of debate. Not really many of the youth were shying away. They plowed a lot of good ground. He felt like, so everything was very positive. That was from the counselor side. I spoke with a couple of the scouts from our unit that took the class, and the comments that I got were, bear in mind, these are from like about 13-year-old boys. Their comments ranged around the class was pretty good to the class was nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be.
That's high praise from a kid.
Right. So, I'm like, consider your audience and judge the feedback accordingly. But it sounded like they had a good time. They got some things out of it. They all mentioned that they were thinking of things differently after having taken the course, which I think is really what we're trying to hit at. So I think it's a positive. I know that this program runs a little bit differently. There's not a traditional merit badge pamphlet for this one. There's a workbook that will go. I haven't seen that, but that's kind of, I assume that it's something more on the lines of some of the merit badge worksheets that are floating around out there. The badges, we have not been able to award the badge yet. Matter of fact, this on the screen is the first time I've seen what it's going to look like. But the youth that nobody completed the badge, there were a few things they have to do on their own. When they do complete it, they'll get a certificate, as I understand, which they'll be able to turn in June, I believe it is, when the launch takes place. Yep. So they've technically made progress, but, it's not something that we can enter in, any, scout book or troop master or whatever you might use. So anyway, in general, all the reviews were really good. This was one I've taught citizenship in the nation more times than I'd care to remember. And that one's one that can occasionally get kind of political and step on some toes. And I was somewhat concerned that this might be something that some folks might get their hackles up over, but it does not sound like we had that experience here. And sounds like that everybody had a good time, came to it with the right attitude, and took something positive away from it. So if that's the case, then I think that's something that we can all be, happy with. And, hopefully this will be another great addition to our program.
Charlie, how long, what did the session the real session, not the pilot, but the real session take? Was it
it was
weekend
taught over our winter camp program runs from, I guess it's the 27th through the 30th every year, whatever days of the week that happens to be. So they have juggled the class times around a bit. Our former, at least the last time I saw I guess the time chart of class schedules, I want to say we probably had somewhere in the vicinity of 5 to 6 hours worth of class time there. Usually those classes will be somewhat in the hour and 15 to hour and 20 minute range, and they'll meet twice a day, both a morning and an afternoon block over 2 days. So I would guess that we had something on that order. I mean, maybe low end, maybe it was a little bit smaller. I know they've tried to fit more merit badges into that program just because so many kids lost summer camp, 1 or 2 years on account of COVID. So It's a little bit beefier program than it was a few years ago. But I would say, that class met 4 times. So there was, I think there was some in between work, at least on a small measure. I know there was some stuff that they had to read before they got there. I think that was primarily designed to, get terminology out there and whatnot, so they didn't have to constantly stop the class to explain different concepts. So I think it's, and this was adult led, obviously. So, like I say, I didn't hear of any problems, but had there been anybody that, made an insensitive statement or something like that, it could have been dealt with right there. But, from what I understand, it went really well.
Well, there's 16 territories and each one has a trial program. We have some hands up. Let's go to the first one with Bruce. Bruce Katz, please. Bruce.
Muted.
Muted, Bruce. There you go.
I apologize. The hand was up from before. The hand was up from before. I apologize.
Okay. Then Bob Schlegel, please.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the guide for the merit badge counselors, and I think it may have been changed. But originally it said that this merit badge was not to be offered in group classes or at summer camp. I'm just looking at a newer one, which I see is a bunch of looks like PowerPoint slides. So that may have changed. But I did want to say something else to Alan's comment earlier. Hank Vogel and I learned last night that the end of May national annual meeting scheduled to be in San Diego will be at a later date sometime.
Oh.
And that I think we need to know because it affects, of course, our annual meeting. Wendy did not know when, but that she did know.
We're going to get to that. It's digital anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember, this is 16 trial programs. The guides and the PowerPoints are all, call it carved in Jello. There'll be review and comparisons and hash it out. And sometime before July, we'll have something to work with. But I've even seen people offering it online now, and they don't know what they're talking about. They don't have a program to present right now. Go ahead, Alan, you had a hand up, and then John.
I did want to ask, since Charles is the only person I know of who's actually had hands-on with developing this, as I appreciate it, this is going to be a required Eagle merit badge eventually, correct?
Maybe.
Yeah, starting in June.
Right.
And any scout who's
Wait,
like for
I
the
got
review
conflicted.
July 1
Carter said
or later
maybe,
will have
and
to
he
happen.
said yes.
Okay,
So
okay. There's several possibilities. One, it will be an additional merit badge, an additional required merit badge. A parallel suggestion is that since we now have 4, or will have by July 4 citizenship merit badges, a scout can take any 3 out of the 4 as an Eagle requirement, and therefore the total number of Eagle required will not change. But none of that is official. It's to be determined. They don't have top hands meeting anymore. It's all Zoom, but
yeah.
bankruptcy.
What I was trying to get an idea about was how does this particular merit badge differ from citizenship in the nation, citizenship in the world, et cetera, citizenship in the community? In other words, what I know it's a diversity merit badge, and that they are trying to include inclusivity, inclusion, if you will, equity, et cetera. My question is how it differs from those.
It's just as the name implies, it's citizenship in society. How will we reach out to other populations? How will we welcome them in? How we make them feel like they belong there to the equal degree as the ones that we've always had. You can trust the current guidelines, not really requirements, but the current guidelines has pretty good focus on it. Even that is subject to collective revision between now and July. John, you had something?
Yes, I do. I just want to piggyback on Mark's presentation with his Pennsylvania. I forgot to mention, since he brought it up, one of our lodges in New York, it actually sponsored the BSA after the church pulled out. I don't remember what the name of the church was, but I thought that was pretty interesting to hear because with our new grandmaster, I think he would have been very supportive. Had this been under his predecessor, he would have not allowed it. So I'm thinking that if some of these churches are backing out, there's an opportunity for lodges to step in as a charter organization if there is that opportunity. If they're like a small town, there's not a lot of organizations to go around. So I just want to point that out.
Okay,
secondly, I asked a question about the merit badge. You answer it would take 6 hours in classroom. Thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
We're getting crosstalk from open mics.
It's not in our state.
I believe it's John Ertel's mic's open.
Did you say the third?
So let me just finish what I wanted to say.
Got him. Go ahead. Okay.
He said 6 hours. That was a good thought to hear. So how much time do you think the scout would need outside the classroom to work on this citizenship merit badge?
That I can't answer. I do know from, like I say, I was not involved in this. It's going to become, I guess, more into my purview, I guess. I just finished up a term as district chair, and now I'm starting one as council commissioner. So I guess I'm a little more program and unit oriented now, but I don't know if we're going to offer this again before it goes live. It's my understanding that, we have filled out feedback information to send up the chain, which is probably kind of what Carter was alluding to. And I also, that we are planning to continue to work with scouts who got partials in this. It was, as I understand, not something that could be completed there. So I don't know about what it would take to finish one, if you work solely on your own. Like I say, it's just gonna be a matter of, I guess that scout, how they work, what the pleasure of the counselor is. I know that we have, I know we have two, and there may be a third here that took the class to become certified to teach this one. So that's, somewhat limiting there, if only a few, if not anyone can do that. So that would be one concern. As far as the question of how will this be required, will this be a straight, you got to have it, or will it be an either or, like they did with sustainability when that came online, or pick 3 out of 4. I don't know anything more specific than anybody else does, but the information that has been given out here is that it will definitively be required. The information that's come out has been after the launch date, every scout will be required to get it. So they're advocating to anybody that's, wrapping up their Eagle, like maybe working on their project, trying to wrap it up, saying either be sure you're done before that cutoff, or be prepared to have one more merit badge tacked on to your to-do list. So, particularly any scouts who are, approaching their 18th birthday or otherwise feel like they're almost done. It's kind of a, get it done now, or you're going to be having to do this as well, kind of a thing. That's been pretty heavily marketed along with the badge here. So I don't know if that's something that our executive is tacking on, or if that's something that's national. I would not assume him to be creating rules on his own that were not sent down with the program. So I assume that that's good information, but like has been said, that could change 3 times between
Well,
now
it
and then.
will be require effective July 1st for all star scouts. They must have it. So if they get their Eagle in before July 1st, then they're good, like you said.
Right.
But effective July 1st, no matter, everybody has to take it, like you said. And I think they're going to hold the number 21.
Well, let's wait and see. We don't know what we don't know.
Well, that's what I was under the
Eric,
impression.
yeah. Eric had his hand up for a while. Eric.
I just put the information that's come out from National in regards to the merit badge in the chat. There's a
Okay.
frequently asked questions list. It will become required as of July 1st, 2022. The requirements in the merit badge pamphlet are also listed in the link above, but you have to scroll up a bit.
Okay, well then we can get that. Send it to me so that I can put it to the Facebook. Okay. Anyone else? Let me see. Mike, back to you.
Carter?
Or is that left over from before? Your hand.
No, it's a couple different comments. As a district advancement chair, I've been advising any Eagle Scout candidate that I am in touch with to basically get it completed by July 1st or expect to do another merit badge. John had said about the Grandmaster in New York. The Grandmaster in Pennsylvania is also very receptive to units sponsoring organizations. And Alan came in before I was totally finished. So I would like to basically, if a meeting could be set up with some of the officers for us to sit down and talk about what we want to do. And I think this is a local chapter again could be bring more recognition to NAMS nationally and increase membership. And obviously coming from NAMS to the local chapter, that recognition would help the local chapter. We would be willing to actually do a pilot program in our council if NAMS were interested. So if possible, Carter, I'd like to set up a meeting with your officers and Dale and I to sit down and talk about this before the national meeting, whenever that's going to be.
Send a list of dates that you're available, and then we'll see if we can get a quorum. Eric, I copied the URL of the frequently asked questions list, so I have it already. Thank you. Anyone else before we go on? The main thing is read the requirements or read the frequently asked questions that you see on. Don, you were going to say.
Well, I understand where we're at with the merit badge thing, but going back to the state stuff, all right, I don't know of anybody other than me who's involved with the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin. Do you have a contact with the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin?
I'll send you a list of every member, life, annual, NPD, everybody but deceased. I'll send you from our database of membership for Wisconsin. I'll send it.
Okay, because if we need to get in to at a higher level, our annual communication is in June and March 18th is the cutoff for resolutions.
Okay.
So I, need to know pretty quickly here. And I am worshipful master of a lodge. So, and the district deputy grand master is a personal friend, and the area administrator, all these guys were friends kind of before I got into masonry. So,
Jim Forrester,
you have a good shot up the.
Jim Forrester, would you go to our website and check on his state? I believe they're already long since accepted. I believe they were an early adopter. I can't memorize all 50.
It's on, Carter, we're on the list, but I don't know of anybody other than me that's a member of the organization. And if we're going to have an active participation with scouting and masonry, it's a little easier if you know who's on the list. So
okay,
I appreciate
I'll send you the
giving me
list.
that
Okay, all right, we'll do. One more in
Thank you.
chat, and then we'll go forward. I say read the requirements, read the frequently asked questions right now. Yes.
Just Bob Schlegel, I just want to throw one thing out there. I'm looking at the Citizenship and Society Merit Badge Guide from the National Office, which is 42 pages. So I suggest that people look at what that says. That seems to be the latest official stuff on this particular merit badge. Thank you.
And that's new since I saw it. Yeah, okay. Speaking of, and very close to it, take this training. It's not required like YPT, but DEI is highly, very sincerely recommended for every registered scouter. Whether you're going to be involved in this this merit badge or not. Anybody in the membership needs to understand this like they do YPT, like they do safe scouting, like we do everything else we do. It's you will get a certificate. It does not expire.
Carter,
Uh,
that's one of the requirements to be a counselor is to complete
Oh yeah,
that.
definitely so. But you can see it's going to come just like we remember when YPT was one person per unit, and look how far we've come since then. This is where society is. This is where scouting needs to be to lead society. Moving right along, and we have some other difficulties to work on. I'm talking about communications. There's some problems with our Facebook page. I don't know how often you get there, but remember the duty of the Tyler. And we have some eavesdroppers and interlopers at the Facebook page. It's real easy to be a member of the Facebook group. That's not the same as being a member of the association. And I've had to squelch at least one who makes it his personal testimony, and we appreciate his faith and we congratulate him for his strength in his faith. But the way he expresses his faith is pretty close to a violation of diversity and equity and inclusion. He is his prayers and his poems and his postings, they're right for him. They're not right for everybody, and they've got nothing to do with scouting. And so if you see those, if I miss some, let me know. I have cautiously counseled him twice, and now I am blocking and removing his personal testimonials, things like that. Questions about it? Have some of you seen them too?
Yeah, but might I make a suggestion? A lot of this can be dealt with by simply posting rules that we have. Facebook will allow us to post rules that everyone must adhere to. And if we can, as delicately phrase the ruling so that it won't offend anybody. If he violates a rule, etc., we can give a warning, etc., and we can actually Facebook will allow us to silence him in some way. So it's short of expelling him, so to speak, but
Okay.
the rules would be
Yeah.
something I think we ought to sit down and think about what we want to say in that regard. That would.
The second issue as to regards Facebook is we have Philippine Masonic Scouters and we have Argentine Masonic Scouters. And some brothers have wondered, what do they have to do with our organization? At least they are Masons and they are Scouters and they are talking about Masonic Scouting, but in their in their Grand Lodge system, not ours at all. And
yeah,
we
had a
could
guy
do
from
that.
Canada, the
Mhm.
Canadian Latin X group that was supportive of our efforts, et cetera, and sorts of things that we, I guess, either have to look the
All right.
or recognize them for their efforts, and as long as they're not posting excessively, I would say that it's all in the spirit of brotherhood and fraternity.
Okay. They have nothing to do with the work we have of promoting BSA with all the
Correct.
Grand Lodge. Okay, moving right along. We've had 2 suggestions so far about a newsletter or a bulletin. And luckily, both brothers suggesting that in addition to, or maybe as a replacement for, Squaretable. Hank, would you tell us a review of your suggestion from a while ago? You're on mute. There you go.
Okay, all right. Well, after Alan took over as president, I discussed with him the idea that we at least publish an occasional newsletter, and not as a replacement to Squaretable, because we need the face-to-face communication, but we need to be able to publicize and distribute as wide as we can the existence of our organization and the work that we're doing. The main drawback, of course, is we need content for such a newsletter.
Agreed. Okay. Bruce, you had a suggestion and you were even talking a source of content. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, for example, this past week I posted something for a proposed Daniel Carter Beard presentation that we did on Monday evening at the lodge and earlier this evening at a roundtable, and just curious about what other folks did. So to publish things like that and ideas and things that could be downloaded and taken away and looked at and fed back, and discussions on Facebook are fine, but a little more detail, just what are folks doing. That some years ago, when I first got involved with this, that there was a letter that went around with some lodge somehow associated with a building project that is a camp, I believe. And I don't think I've seen much in writing since then, but just some kind of profiling of people, putting things online. We have a couple of national events coming up, and just what do we want to put out, and just something that can be printed out and handed to Masonic Scouters or Scouting Masons about who we are and what we do, to leave at lodge buildings and things like that. Just a short document of some sort.
Alan, doesn't our future website have the capacity to post documents for others to retrieve?
Yes, we're gonna have an archive that we're gonna be posting, that plus things like patches and other things that we're going to have that will be digitized, that
Okay.
we'll be able to have as well. But I guess right now we're starting to crawl before we actually get up to full speed. The content of that, I was going to probably address later rather than,
Okay.
you know, these kinds of things can be posted almost immediately. You know, if you have a PDF of a presentation for Daniel Carter Beard suggested that you want other people to emulate, obviously we could certainly put that up at a moment's notice, and it wouldn't take any time at all to make a PDF out of it. And then people could post it on, you know, have it on their phones when they're doing the ceremony, or their tablets, etc. And they wouldn't have to worry about it if their internet access allows them to do that.
Good.
So,
Okay. Well,
you know,
look,
those sorts of things will be there, absolutely. But if
And-
anybody has anything like that to present that they have already made up, like you just mentioned, that I'm not familiar with, please obviously send that to either Carter or me or both of us, and that way I'll have access to it.
and it'll be in the webpage when we start. Okay,
Right.
good. Okay, good. Enough of that. Enough of that. Happy for you. I'm looking, no more hands. No, okay, good. NOAC is coming, and we've had several volunteers. I'm looking at the gallery view and remembering. No, I don't remember any of us tonight that we're talking about NOAC, but we will be at NOAC. We have our banner back from Texas, and thank that brother for sending it on. He's used it several times and used it very well. So July 25 to 30 at UT Knoxville. And it'll be a table along the hallway is about all we ever do and all we really need to do for our presence. And in some ways it pays off. And even if it doesn't, it builds awareness, and it's fun for the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 brothers who take turns staffing the table. Is there anyone with us tonight who had in email or otherwise expressed interest in representing us at NOAC? There he is, Robert. Yes, sir. Yeah. Robert Griffin, you're going to NOAC. Should I send you the banner so you have it with you rather than trying to find it when you get there?
Yes,
I'll do it. All right.
yes, you can do that.
Okay.
And I'll need some more information too.
Okay. Will do.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Robert, if I may ask, have you already registered for NOAC?
I have not.
Okay. The difficulty I had back in 2015, I wasn't able to go the more recent time, but 2015, of course, there were too many youth who wanted to be at that centennial, and we were not able to get adults in. It was difficult. So I'm wondering, do we know what limitations we have? Are we going to hopefully have enough opportunity to have adult leadership on hand there?
As far as I've heard, there's not a problem this year.
I can answer a little bit of that. Having a daughter who is a section chief and a CVC for one of the events, there's plenty of room for staff. There's plenty of room for youth. Membership or attendance is actually, some of the program areas are concerned that attendance will not get high enough because the budget is stair-stepped, and they're concerned that the attendance will not stair-step up enough that they're able to, you know, do everything that they want to do. So there is plenty of availability for NOAC in any way you want to go.
Charlie, I asked that was I was told at a previous meeting that if we didn't get to about a 15,000 member, you know, youth and adults together level, that the National Council would not put on, or WAC to put on, you know, the conclave. And so that's disturbing to me, because I don't know that we've ever had more than 10 or 11,000 at a NOAC, other than maybe the centennial year.
15, yeah, 15 was big like that, but none of the other ones are that big. From what I understand, that number is somewhere in the high 4 to low 5,000 registrants right now. And I know a lot of these groups are hoping to get it to 6.
Alan,
So
at the Telescopium this summer, the number 15,000 pertains to a jamboree at the summit. Jamboree at the summit.
NOAC is different. Phil Craig, I got your, Phil Craig. I got your your chat. I put that in email. I'll lose it just as soon as we close the Zoom here in chat.
Yeah.
If you would, please. Okay. Speaking of, Bob Schlegel, your good looks are exceeded only by your good sense of timing. There will be a Jamboree 23.
Right.
The information is beginning to meter out. We know that there will be fees, and we know that they will be higher than ever before. We know that there will be features. They'll be slimmer than ever before, but for a good purpose. All of the effort of Jamboree 23 will be on Scouts program. The so-called white tits are going to be considerably fewer than before, including the one that we were in, including the one that chartered partners, churches, civic organizations, fraternal, military, so on and so forth. The 2013 Jamboree costs money rather than make money. 2017 costs money instead of make money. 2019 World Jamboree operated in the red, and National cannot, with the situation they're under, let's say that we are all under, all of the emphasis is going to be on program and program and program for the Scouts. The extra stuff that was nice to have, well, let's hope that this one pays its own way to the point that that will determine the future of Jamborees. Remember, fees go up for staffers and for participants. There are some details. It is not really official, but it's a high-grade probability that contingent troops will bring their own tents and their own cook gear, as opposed to everybody gets brand new stuff and then you can buy it at bargain rate, so the National doesn't have to pack it up. National can't afford to front the purchase anyway, so contingents are going to. It won't look as pretty because they won't match, but that's okay. We're not there to look pretty. We're there to have a good time at Jamboree. It's still going to be a great event and the scouting event of any Scout's lifetime, but it will, at the same time, the cost accounting will determine whether there is a future of Jamboree. Let's don't promote it saying go to this one because there might never be one. Barry says $1,200 for staff. That matches what I was told and told not to talk about it. But if you have permission, then go ahead. Barry, did you have any other details?
No, but I didn't have permission either. That was just the number that I was told. Sorry.
Okay. 1,200 for staffers and at least 1,200 for participants. Of course, you know that the council does its own calculation based on what equipment they have to buy to outfit their contingent troop, and everybody's transportation cost is different, whether you drive across one state or 27 states to get there. I'm looking for other hands up. Eric, hand up again? Or is that left over from before?
Sorry, it must have been left over from before. I did not have my note. Thank you.
Okay. Alan.
Sorry to keep interrupting. Who was talking about Wisconsin? Who? Because I don't see. I thought it was Don.
Yeah, and I don't see him now. Did he drop? Yeah,
Okay.
we've lost three so far.
I have a contact for him in Wisconsin, so I just wanted to send him that information. So if you can send me his email in the chat or send it to me on a regular email, I'll forward him that information. It's a very good contact. Somebody who's got a lot of experience as a scouter, but also is now moving up in the ranks of some of the national organizations as well.
Okay, good. Well, Don, for some reason, dropped out. So I saw his wife come by. Must have, if Mama ain't happy, well, you know the rest anyway.
Yeah, happy wife, happy life. I know.
Our certificates continue to be very popular, very well received. It's very simple. Email me with the name you want on it and where it goes. I sign it, prepare it, put the seal on it, emboss the seal, and then you get to sign as the real presenter. This personalizes the delivery, and I think makes a lot of sense. Makes it more real to the Eagle Scout being recognized. And you notice we are modern in our language. I'm working with another outfit that is still struggling through a backlog of congratulations on his accomplishment, but ours is written right in the first place. National meeting, last I knew was 23 to 27. Bob, that's out of date already, isn't it?
Yes, they, last night, Wendy told us that it's not going to be then. They don't know whether it will be real or not, or virtual or when, but it's definitely not going to be then, she said. You were there, Hank. You recall that?
I don't recall her saying that it would be in person. I think she said that it would probably be completely virtual and
Yeah, I
would
think
most
you're right.
likely be after the bankruptcy is concluded.
Right.
Right.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So it's a
So we
fresh
don't know.
start.
Well, that makes it easy. If we don't know when theirs is, then we certainly don't know when ours is. And that about wraps it up for the evening. Other than, be it May or into June, let's face it, a Wednesday in June is already Squaretable time. So we will probably, for the sake of efficiency, merge or combine Squaretable with the national meeting. If Alan agrees with that, I think we get more participation both ways. And if not, then I thank you very much. Wait a minute, one more chat I got to get up with. Carter, why are you going on and you acting so long? Okay, well, okay, then I'm out of here. Okay.
Let me just make one more comment.
Yeah.
As we started this meeting by invoking the assistance of deity, that the first obligation in the Scout oath is our duty to God. And the last point of the Scout law is reverent. We who, particularly those who are youth facing leaders, should be encouraging the youth to work on their religious emblems.
Amen.
Amen. Absolutely.
Well, with that, I thank you very much and wish you well and wish for you and for your scouting.
Thank you for hosting this, Carter.
Thank you, Carter. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night, Elizabeth. Good night, John Boy.
Carter, you'll call me a little bit later so we can talk about what I might have missed. Okay, and I apologize for being late.
Probably in the morning.
Wherever
No
you
problem.